I was reading this article the other day, and it was talking about the 30 least valuable yards in golf. The premise was this. They ran a bunch of statistics on scoring averages between 100 yards from the pin and 70 yards from the pin. And how the score really wasn't that different. I think this was the premise. I might be butchering it. Scoring difference for a lot of golfers between 100 yards and 70 yards wasn't that difference. But the shot to go for that extra 70 yards, or that extra 30 yards to get 70 yards from the pin versus 100 yards from the pin, potentially brought in a lot of other variables, a lot of other risks that might not have been worth it. For example, like a short par 4. Maybe there's some bunker play in the fairway, maybe there's some out of bounds, maybe there's something, that pulling driver would bring into play. It would get you closer, but at what cost? We already know that, the scoring difference between 170 yards for most people isn't that big anyways. So what are we doing? What is that extra risk buying you? Now, it's not to say that that's the case all the time, right? There's a time and a place for that shot, right? But regardless, you do have to ask yourself, what is it that you're going for? It might be a more sensible play to take a little less club and end up closer to that 100-yard marker and, go from there. And I think there's a lesson in that. I think in life, in fitness, in golf, in work, it's easy to want to go for that home run. Try to do the hero shot, to try to, go big. And sometimes that works out. Sometimes it's necessary, right? And this isn't just about golf. Obviously, I've already said that. But the sensible play, it's not about trying to go for that home run. It's about trying to get base hits, consistent small wins. It's not about going viral. It's about having a consistent viewership to the right people. You know what I mean? And I was talking with my girlfriend about this idea, and it's been on my mind for a while now. But kind of relating this whole article about, the 30-yard gap and to content, it's like, okay, cool. Maybe there is OB left and right, short par 4. You decide to take driver, and you bomb it. It goes 300 yards, but it's out of bounds, and I feel like it's kind of similar to like going viral on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, for the wrong reasons. And it's like, cool, you might have gotten a huge audience, but at what cost? You got to take that penalty stroke and stuff. And so, I don't know, it's just this idea, like, I think it's one, just interesting as shit for golf because I love golf and I'm obsessed and hooked into that. But I just feel like there's so many other, areas that you can think about, like with your fitness. Maybe you've been sitting on the couch eating hot Cheetos. This video pops up and you're inspired, and maybe not this video, maybe another video of mine or another video, whatever. You get inspired and you're like, okay, it's time. I'm doing the damn thing. And instead of just like, okay, sweet, I'm gonna like just go for a walk and like eat some vegetables with this meal, you're like, no, I'm gonna start going to the gym for an hour and a half every day, 7 days a week. I'm going to cut my calories to 1,500 calories, no carbs. I'm going to drink 1.5 gallons of water a day, like I'm going to do 10,000 steps and I'm going to run every day. It's like, that's going for that home run, going for that grand slam when all you needed was like, how long can you sustain that before shit goes bad? How many 300-yard out-of-bound drives can you rip before you're shooting 110? You know what I mean? How often can you just go so hard to where it blows up in your face, to where you're not making progress, you're actually regressing? Get those base hits. Get those fairway finders. Get that consistency. And I think from there is where you build that confidence, and the home runs will just happen. They'll just happen. I don't think, it's kind of funny making all these baseball analogies because I'm not a big baseball guy at all, and I couldn't hit a fucking ball to save my life. Wanna know how many home runs I have in my career? 0. So that's interesting. But I would imagine any home run that someone hit, I don't think they were trying to hit a home run. Maybe they were. Baseballers, hop in, let me know. Were you trying to hit a home run when you hit that home run, or did it just happen? You were just good swing on a good pitch, good result. You're just trying to hit the ball, just trying to make contact. And that thing went flying out of the park. So, let's wrap this up. Let's land this ship. Don't try to hit home runs. Don't take on unnecessary risk when a more sensible plan will put you arguably in the same position. And sometimes you gotta go for it though. I think that's the silver lining, the asterisks, the fine print. And it's, again, sometimes it does call for that, but more base hits, more fairway finders, the things that you can do every day. Yeah. Peace.